Check it. It's time to empower the women and educate the men. This is the calling that God has begun with two individuals he destined to win. So sit back, relax, maybe grab a snack as we speak some facts guaranteed to impact your life. Your destiny is God-given right. So listen up as we speak some truth to you, guaranteed to make sure you
live your life to the fullness. Make sure you are winning, never quitting on yourself. Live your life to the fullness. Make sure you are winning, never quitting on yourself.
That's right. If you lost it, they'll help you find it. If you're confused, they'll help you understand. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the alignment coach and the authentic coach. You know, they're out here empowering women and educating men. Now, got a question for you. What's the poison you carry? You know what? Let's find an anecdote. Showtime's right now.
Technical difficulties. What's going on, family? What's going on? What is the poison you carry? That's what we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna talk about. Well, we got a lot of bling, bling, bling. We're gonna talk about that today. Let's go. Let's get it started. Go ahead, C.
Hey everyone, I'm C. Chiropractor Morgan, your alignment coach.
And I'm King Harrison, the authentic coach. Let's go to the Father. Father God, we just thank you for this time that you allow us to speak to the people. We submit our minds, our will, our intellect to you and our voice so that you can use it for your glory. And Father, as we talk about the poison, what is the poison that people are carrying? And Father, we just want you to be exalted in this show and let us speak truth to it so that people can be freed up from carrying the poison that they're carrying, even though they may not know it. Let us bring light to it and they release it by the end of this show. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Okay, see, kind of giving them a synopsis of what we're going to do here, and I'm going to turn it over to you. Go ahead, C.
When we're saying, I love, saying what's the antidote when we're going to speak about, what is a poison that you carry? What are some things that you can just think about in everyday life that are stopping you from things? And it's not only the physical aspect. There's a lot of times we talk about what's the mental things. Is it fear? Is it lack of boundaries? Is it just organization in the home? Is it at work? You're in a work environment where you don't want to be anymore. What are you carrying that is hindering you? And one of the biggest things that we speak about is forgiveness. That's another one that actually, when you don't forgive as we speak, you miss blessings, you miss opportunities that you have too in life. And it blocks you. And another thing that blocks you too is your frustration. So basically, the negative energy that you exude, or you more or less the innermost of you that you sit and carry, it blocks a lot of the positive energy or the positive vessels that actually come into your life, and you block them. One of the biggest poisons that I've seen and speaking with people, and the most, is the guilt. Or the past. The past to me is a big poison a lot of people carry. You can't change the past, but they're living in the past, but they're not staying in the present. And the present is where you can change the future. You can also change the past of, let's say, lessons that you have learned from those mistakes in that aspect. And one thing that I like to talk about is like in the home, when they're shouting in the home, and it can feel like you're in an environment where home should be where you can come and have peace at. It should become that you're coming to be mad at, or you're coming home to alleviate the world around you that can be causing you stress, that can be causing you depression, that can be causing you to be sad. Home is where you want to be okay with. You want to decompress a lot of times. You don't want it to feel like hell, more or less. And the bad thing when we come into the home, and then you can be stressed or mad at somebody else, and you bring that into the home, where now you're taking it out on the people in the home. So a lot of times people don't realize they're doing that. and it's not always intentional a lot of times. But the bad thing when they're shouting, it starts off as sometimes uncommon, but then you become tolerant of it, and then it becomes more flexible, and then it becomes a habit. And this is how we, when people don't bring to fruition in the sense of I'm going to speak up, we lose our power of our voice. Another poison that we can carry, not understanding the power we have and how to actually use the voice. Some of us lose our voice and then we get mad at ourselves because we're not speaking up for ourselves, because one is usually afraid of conflict that you might have. Bad conflict is not always bad. There is positive conflict. For you to be able to come and express yourself and what you're thinking in a safe, secure zone for you, it helps you both grow. No, one, not to get defensive. Just express, just talk as friends that can say anything and everything to each other, but just in a more common place where you can say, I see your point on that, I see your point, and let's come to a middle ground. But when you shout a lot of times, it instantly, with some people, it's a trigger for them. So they don't always understand why you're mad or why you're shouting. Sometimes when you shout, you can talk so fast, you don't even know what the person is saying. So then you ask them to repeat it again, and that could be something else that can cause some more frustration also. So to understand too, why are you shouting? When you're in the act of it, it can be annoying and it's offensive, especially when you're coming to someone to speak. It's like, why are you even shouting right now? So now the shouting, they're not even hearing what you're saying. They just see the physical act and they hear it, the tone, the hearing, the senses that we have. So we're bringing that in. So now that seed is starting to grow. Now we're mad just the fact because you're shouting. We're not even listening to what you're saying. So to come into a way to try to shut that off, is how are you going to adjust that when speaking to the person who's shouting for you? How are you going to come and not shout back in that sense? It gives you strength and growth in that poison that is being put into the home. It's either you're going to help that poison grow or you're going to dissolve that poison. And then you got to be able to speak and talk about it when that is occurring. Sometimes you do have to let it just dissolve. Let them vent and not take it personal. That is one of the biggest things that I've seen and actually experienced, is taking it personal. Because people don't like to be yelled at, period. So that's an instant trigger, like I said, for them to be mad. So it's like, okay, you're going to first stop yelling. Or, hey, do you know you're yelling right now? Do you know your voice is elevated? Sometimes we don't even know. It's just a true venting. It's not actually yelling at the person per se. So I think that's one thing I see when it comes to a toxic or poison that we bring into the home. We have to be careful what we bring in a lot of times.
Right. That's right. You definitely have to be careful what you bring in. I would like to say this show is really the show that has really that's gonna really push the envelope, because even how it started, y'all just don't understand what we have to. Like, listen, I really want to shout out CJ. CJ, for you to get that voiceover intro to me in that amount of time, thank you so much. Great, because sometimes we switch up at the last minute. Sometimes we feel something that we want to go a direction, and then it'll be the day of. We be like, you know what? No, let's go this direction. So
Yeah.
this is one of those days that we switched up at 10:30. So we went a different direction than what we normally get. But actually, it's still self-awareness, nonetheless. It is.
It still
Because
is.
it is still is, because you need to be aware of what you are holding and carrying. And a lot of times you don't know you holding and carrying things because it feels normal. And it feels like, okay, it's a party, but when in actuality it's something that you really, is like we saying, it is poison. It's poison. And then, hey, what's up? Rick, what's up, Reverend Rick and Lydia? How you doing, Lydia? Glad y'all came. We need to shout them out so y'all don't, this ain't pre-recorded, so y'all know we live. we not a replay. So, but you need to be careful in knowing what you're carrying, and you need to be aware of it. And so sometimes how that looks, you could really be carrying some poison and don't even know it, because you just don't want to hurt other people. And then you think it's like you really being a compassionate person. You really being a thoughtful person. And in actuality, you actually are carrying something that is really bothering you. and it's really affecting your whole entire being and your health, everything. And you don't even know it, and you be like, okay, I don't know why. You go get your blood pressure checked, it's high. You go, you feel pain, faint pains, and you get headaches, and also you're like, well, I don't know what's going on. You're carrying poison in your body, and you don't realize
Right. And some of that, well, when I was saying the
it. Yeah.
shouting, it's the poisonous seed that starts to grow, which that seed can evolve to violence. So even the shouting, it turns into a normal conflict, but it can be psychologically damaging situation. It could be damning too. But it's an act that tries. Some people do it to show off power, but it's a way of corrupting the true purpose of the words. That's when I was saying not to take things personal,
Right.
just listen to what they're saying, take out the emotion that comes with it. A lot of times it is a challenge to sit and talk softly, you know, but it's the beginning of that habit to begin it. Not shouting and letting them shout at you gives you the strength so you can cohabitate
Correct.
together, and it helps you increase your esteem, your respect, and your self-control. And that's the biggest thing, is the self-control. How are you going to respond to this conflict, to this situation where you don't shout? Where it should be a basic rule in every home. Like I said, difference been letting them vent and get it out, and then they will talk in a calmer tone. But it's not in a sense where it's going to demean you, or
Right.
like I said, or you become into a actual physical violent habit
Mm. Yeah, you're
at
very
all.
correct.
The other
Yeah.
thing that comes into with the second part of it too, with the poison a psychological poison, which many of us have, is a lack of boundaries. Sometimes it's easier for us to have boundaries for strangers or coworkers than our own family. I think the family is where the boundaries are stretched the most. But however, where just because you're family, you think you should have more, you're privileged to have more. I should be able to talk to you this way, or any that way.
Yeah.
It's you have space. You're not just talking about physical places, but you're belonging to that family. But there still comes respect when what boundaries are you having for yourself that you will let family cross over, and that you let strangers. And it's where we go into the feelings. We don't want to hurt feelings, and that part of it. And that's when we talked about as we were talking about earlier, key when we talk about the truth. When you're not able to actually speak your truth, you talk to other people and give advice, but it comes to the fact: are you speaking that truth that you're speaking to others?
Right.
Are you not being transparent in that aspect of it? It comes to that complete respect for you, who you are, but
Hmm.
also love who you are and what you're doing within that boundary.
Right. Right. And that's key. You gotta love who you are. First of all, we told you the first two. Know who you are, and we gave you access to know who you are by offering you this. But it is key that you know who you are so you can operate in about. And again, like you said, families, you need to get boundaries for everybody, family or not. You have to figure out what are you going to allow in your space. It's okay to set boundaries for family, friends, close ones, whoever. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, what you allow to come in, you are responsible for making sure it gets out. Now, if someone offend you, you can check a person in a respectful way. So
Right.
you know what I'm saying. You can let them know, hey, what you said, I didn't agree with. It offended me, and I don't appreciate it. And it's okay to say that. Now, how they respond is going to give you a clue to where you're going to put these people in your life going forward. Now, if they respond in a way of saying just disregarding what you just said, then
Right.
that's a sure sign that that's an exit person. That's a person that you're gonna keep in the exit. You know, you ain't gonna deal with them. That ain't part of your life no more. Now if they respond with care and concern and an apology, then that's someone you can respect, and you can say, okay, you can come with me because you respect me. And we said it, and we talked about intentions in the first. We talked about self awareness in the last one. But the thing about it is, it's okay. I think we get to a point to where we feel like, and I personally, believe it or not, I do not like confrontation. It ain't that I don't like confrontation because I can't handle confrontation.
Right.
It's because of the fact that I can handle confrontation and I can go there with you. But I don't want I in this dispensation of my life, I don't that's not where I'm at no more. I'm more or less on the compassionate side. And for me, I have to be careful when it comes to confrontation anyway because of what I represent and being in a leadership role. So I can't respond the way I would have responded 10 years ago. So now when confrontation comes, I have to really look at the other person's why they're offended. I had something come up last Saturday, and the guy was rah, and I didn't rah back. I really looked at him and I said, I apologize for how I offended you. And even though I know what I did was wrong, but because of where I'm at and because of what I represent, I have to look at people beyond their rah 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 and understand that hey, it's something going on with them on a deeper level.
And it's not always easy to do that. It's
You
not
know it wasn't
always
easy. It was
easy.
not easy. Now trust me, it was yeah. But at the end of the day, we have to do that because we have a responsibility as leaders and stuff. And like I said, it's very common that you're gonna have offenses. I talked about that in the Bible study last week. Offenses, they're gonna come. They coming, especially if you're a leader. They coming. I'm sorry. People are not mature as you think they are. They are
And that's the key
adults.
thing.
Yeah,
Their
they are
growth.
adults.
Their
They
growth is
40,
not what yours.
50, 60, and they are immature. 30, 20. I seen more mature 20 something years old than I seen 40-year old. And it 40 something years old. And it's because of life and people allowing the change to happen, allowing process to take place, allowing themselves to be poured into, allowing themselves to really look at themselves for real from a really critical thinking mindset, really looking at yourself and allowing yourself to be molded into a person that you could be beneficial to others. But again, I preface this. It's okay to check people though. And you can check them in a nice way. But don't go be confrontational to a point to where you are, you come out your character. And that's what I'm
And
saying.
that's big, what you said.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you said, coming out of character, and that comes
yeah.
with the control part and the self-awareness and where are they at in their journey of growth. Maybe they're
Mm-hmm.
just beginning it. And so you are above them because you do outgrow people, you grow out of relationships. You
Mm-hmm.
just, especially when you feed and invest in yourself for that growth that you have within yourself. And how you're saying, Lydia, the season that you're currently in, it's one that I'm working on myself, especially of how am I going to respond when sometimes what somebody says to you, it's the root, it's not what or how they said it, it's how you're taking it in because of something you feel how you are,
Mm-hmm.
something that you don't like within yourself, something,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a habit that you're trying to grow out of. You're trying to create a new habit, a more beneficial, more positive habit. And it's like, oh dang, it's still sticking out again. And I thought I'm covering up or someone can't see it, but someone points it out again. So it's not what they said. And they may not even take it, they might not say the way we take it. And that's when we come with that perceived truth, our reality or the perceived truth of it.
Right.
You have the subjective part of, and then you have the objective. Subjective is what we think we heard, what we see, what we know.
Right.
Then you have the objective or the factual part of it. So what is the factual? But to us, it's factual. It's our truth and what happened.
Your
So a
truth.
lot
Yeah.
of times it's the mirror. What mirror are we looking at? What mirror are we looking in? Is it our own mirror, or is it what other people say we're supposed to think, what other people are saying how we should feel and how we should act, or what are their expectations before that? So we have to get out those mirrors of us that aren't for us, or the ones that we may be feeling guilty or less of to our own expectations. It's good to have high expectations, but we have to be real about some of those expectations too. Are they hindering us because we're not meeting them? Are we too hard on ourselves because we didn't do this? Again, we look at what we didn't do. We're not always looking at what we are doing. And that's another poison that we carry. We always look at the negative, what we're not doing. But
Yeah.
what are we doing? What are those small wins that we talk about before that? And the one too is, good thing, as you're talking about the part of carrying pain. Pain is a deep one that poison on people, because pain comes with that guilt. And people use that to their benefit to make you feel bad, maybe how you treated them, maybe how things didn't evolve how they wanted to. That outcome was not good in that part. So you have that guilt of trying to make that quote unquote right, that wrong or right, when actually you can't change that. You can only change the present right now. but it shouldn't be a part where you're on somebody else's level. You're trying to prove something to somebody else when only person you have something to prove to is to yourself. Because again, you're looking in their mirror, their vision of you. No, what is your vision of you? And if you don't like the vision that you're seeing in your reflection, you change that to where it makes you happy. Your innermost peace that you have. What are you doing? Because your peace is what counts the most. And something you were saying too, King, is when, it affects your body, the stress and
Yes.
all that.
Yes.
You do that to yourself when you're allowing others' weight of their emotions
Correct.
hang on your shoulders. You're breathing all that in, that toxicity in, when you can help, but help to where it's not damaging you. It's not hurting you for the aspect. And it's okay. Again, we have some people, they don't have it where they can say no. No is not a bad word. It's you standing your boundaries again, staying within that. I can do this for you. If they don't like it, that's too bad. You gave what you could give. A lot of times we go past what we should be giving because we have that heart, we have that compassion to help. But are they feeding back into you? And it's not always what someone can do for you. I do not always believe that way. But what is the mutual benefit that you're having? Are they just taking, and then your pieces of you are gone before you know it? You don't even realize you gave all those pieces away of you, and you're wondering what happened. You feel as though sometimes that I've lost myself. No, you gave yourself away. You gave those pieces away because of the boundaries. As we said, the poisons that you're carrying, the guilt, the shame, the pain that you have. And looking at the joy, what do you still have? Sometimes we even give our own joy away because we do it through other people, because we have fear of doing it ourselves. But it's great to have grace and gratitude, but not in a sense where, gosh, I should have been doing that, and I see them where I'm supposed to be at. You're supposed to be at in your own timeline. If you're not ready to do it, you need to kick it in high gear, because realize why you're not doing it, and you see someone else doing it. But the other thing too is the part of comparing. Are you comparing yourself to people a lot of times? And that's another one, what we do a lot. And who's surrounding you? Well, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Okay, who's telling you should be doing it? Is it something that they're cheering you on as a cheerleader, you should be doing that, encouraging you, or is it bringing you down? How's that making you feel in that mirror that they're saying that you should be doing that? And that's the other thing we have to realize within ourselves. Yeah, maybe that's where we should be, but I'm taking steps to get there. You always have to reiterate them affirmations anytime you're feeling a certain way. And some of those, like I said, some of those poisons that we continue to carry, we do have to expel them. Like you were saying, King, we have to get those out. But it had to be on our terms, not anybody else's. Because if we do what other people say, sometimes you get resentment. They made me do this. No, they didn't make you do this. You had the choice to do it. It was either yes or no, or you're just going to be mad. What are you going to do in those choices that you have?
Well, see, you really are getting into the people today. You're really going at them today. That's great. I'm glad to see that. So I mean, I got to take the soft road, which I really don't know how to do that road. But what you said is great, though. What you said is great. You have a choice. That hit hard though when you said no. You chose to give your pieces away.
And that's hard to swallow. That's a pill that I have to swallow myself
That
sometimes.
was a
I
good
can't
one.
say you made me do this. No, I chose to do that. It was a choice.
Mhm.
I got to swallow that pill. I did
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you did it. What's up, G? Glad to see you. I'm sorry, you don't like me calling you Pastor Kevin Graham. Glad to see you here. But nah, nah, he's not like that for real. I'm just playing. Yeah, so I don't want y'all to take that shit. I forget this cancer culture these days. Uh, but no, see what you said was powerful. You chose to let that go, and you know what? We have to get to a point to we accept responsibility for our actions, and
Right.
to be okay with knowing that you did it, accept it, and then move on. I think the thing that we have, I think the problem that we have collectively is that we are so hard on ourselves that we do not give ourselves grace or mercy. We give other people more grace and mercy than we give ourselves.
Especially
And
mercy.
mercy, yes,
Especially mercy.
especially mercy. And we should be actually giving it to ourselves and then letting that go out. Because if we continue to be people who just are just so hard on ourselves, we would never see our growth. We would never see the growth that we have. I have personally witnessed growth in myself that I'm looking back years and now I'm like, wow, that is, because like I said, the incident that happened, I seen the growth in me, how I responded and didn't react. That is growth for me. Because usually I react. I react real quick. And so the fact that I responded, and G will tell you, because probably couldn't have been, G couldn't have been there either, because somebody jumping in my face, that joker pop off too. He'll pass. We do. We are more protective of each other than people realize. But I responded because I recognized the position that I'm in. And even though everybody may say, well, nah, you don't take. Like I said earlier, it's a way to check people. You can check them in a nice, respectful way. But also, though, as you take on leadership roles, understand this. You held at a higher standard than anybody else. And like she said, you don't know if the people are just beginning their process. You
Right.
don't know where they at in their process. We have to make sure that we do not ever put ourselves so high in leadership, in our mindset, and on this pedestal that we forget that we started somewhere.
We had to come through that same journey.
We had to come to
Mm-hmm.
that same journey.
Yep.
We can't forget, no matter what position you're in, whether it's in the church, whether it's in the CEO, but you please don't forget, you weren't always the leader. You had to go through some trials and errors to get to that. You had to learn some experiences. You had to go through some things, and then all of a sudden, because you went through those things and you learned some tools and you developed some stuff, now you're in a leadership role because they trust you to lead people from a perspective of you've been there before. Because if you check it, every time you go to a job, what's the first thing they ask you? What's your qualification? They want to know, have you done this before? Have you been there before? And so it's no difference when you leading people, whether it be on the spiritual side or the whatever. But if people want to know, have you been through this before? Can you really relate to me? Can you really understand what I'm going through? If I really allow you in, can you really speak to my pain? Can you really speak to my thing that I'm going through, my issue? Because really, the honesty, we can if we keep being transparent and honest, and we get off this high horse mentality that I have arrived and I don't stink. When in actuality, the reason you have arrived is because you do stink because of what you went through. And because of the experience and the knowledge you have, that's why you are so bright. God has brought you through it. I tell people this all the time. Everything I have, if God didn't give it to me, I don't have. And it had not been from God, I wouldn't be here now. It's not, King didn't do nothing. I promise you I didn't. Ain't nothing I have or have attained in my life God did not allow me to have. And that's just the bottom line. I can't say I did it. You would never hear me say, I'm a self-made millionaire. The devil is a lie. I'm a God-made millionaire. That's how it happened. Not me. Trust me, it's not me. So I think when people start taking, and you may not rock with God, hey, pardon me, I'm about to go this route with the God people. You may not rock with God like that. But I say when people that do rock with God, they do claim God, they say they rock with God. When we get to a point till we know that had it not been for God, we wouldn't be where we are. Had it not been from God, we wouldn't have the mindset that we have. Had it not been for God, we wouldn't be able to respond the way we respond. Until we really get to a point to where we humble ourselves and stop treating people as if you never been in their shoes. You may not have done that act that they have done, but you have done something that is shameful.
And that's the other thing too, that casting, when that judgment comes, you act
Yeah.
like when they want to keep hidden what they've done that they're not proud of,
God.
but you want to put someone else's hurt or someone else's wrongdoing out for the whole world to see. That is the bad part about that. Like you're saying, we all have things that we don't want seeing. And I like how it was saying the part like with the, in the, say again?
My mama, they go on my mama, see?
Oh.
Mama, you can't be commenting. That's going to throw the show off. Now I'm going to get nervous chaos. See, when you
But
not
it's something that
around.
the part two that I saw in here when it talked about when we talk about one of the poisons of being pain, and I work through this and I fight sometimes too. When someone hurts you, you want to hurt them too. You want them to
Right.
hurt, you want them to get back about that. So that is tough sometimes because you sometimes and it's some people. I've experienced this myself is when you talk about how you feel and what you're going through, sometimes you have to put them through it to really understand it. Oh, now you understand what I was trying to tell you. Why did I have to do this for you to understand what? And it's wrong because you really shouldn't intentionally hurt people. You really shouldn't because it's not beneficial. I'm gonna own up to that. It's not right. It's not right. But you just want them to understand so much of what you're feeling sometimes because you can't describe it in words, but it is wrong to intentionally hurt somebody because it's still vengeance that you're doing.
No matter
It
how you
still is,
feel.
and
Right.
it's still not right. Yes, there
Right.
are some people will say, well, there are certain situations, what if it went on a fact, someone, was killed in your family and you want to go kill that person. I'm being real right now because some people may be thinking the same thing. It just depends on it. To me, either way you look at it, you put bad out, bad's gonna come back to you,
Either way.
regardless. It may so quote unquote feel good in the moment or you got that relief or peace, but what are you affecting afterwards? You take somebody else's life, there's gonna be somebody without a mom, a dad, or brother or sister, so you cause pain. So you cause what you were feeling again with somebody else. What did that rectify in a sense for you? But that is some pain that people do, and to me just that getting even is not always, it's not always a remedy. It's not a healthy remedy, I'm going to say.
No,
When
that's
it comes
good.
to
Just use it. You know what? We gotta quit backing up from the. See, like you said, you know how you just said that real soft. Like that's like somebody kill you and you go want to kill them. But that's no. We can't back up there because in actuality, I'm gonna have to deal with that this Friday coming up. Someone got killed, and I have to minister to the people who suffer from somebody get killed. And I promise you, they have get back. It's human nature to have get back in you. Like the thing about it is, what hurt us is we act like we don't have get back in us, and we don't acknowledge it, and we say, "Hey, oh no, I'm good." You're not good. I know. I'm telling you, I have get back. Matter of fact, my mama's on here. You touch my mama, I'ma have get back in my spirit 100%. I'm sorry. I love the Lord with all my heart. I'm full with the Holy Ghost. I know I am. But you touch my mama, I have get back. That's just being honest. And what we need to start doing is being honest about who we are. That's the only way you're gonna get help. That's the only way you're gonna be able to manage it. Not you may not be delivered from it, but you may be able to manage it. But the thing
and
about it,
account for it. You have to have that
you
accountability.
gotta have it,
You
but you
have
gotta tell the truth.
accountability for what you're doing
You
and your
gotta
actions,
tell the
as we
truth though.
said. You have
And
to.
if you carrying that and you hiding it and you can't, it's killing you on the inside because you
It's
cannot be
rotting,
honest.
festering. Yeah.
It's festering. You cannot be truthful. You cannot tell what you need to tell. You cannot say what you want to say because you're around some insecure people. You're some small-minded people. Change your change your circle because you can't keep on festering stuff that who you really are. And it don't necessarily have to be bad. It's just a fact. It can be something good, but you cannot be who you genuinely are around the people that you're around, and it's killing you
And that's another
slowly.
poison. Yes,
It's
that is it.
poison.
You can't be who you truly are, or you hide it, or you're just not happy doing it, or you won't leave the area or people you're around. That is a big one. When people feel they can't be who they truly are around people, loved ones especially. When
That's sad.
people are feeling that way, and to me that is very detrimental because
Yes.
it crushes because they really want to share that with you. But what's being stopped here? The love to share their passion, to love for them to be free, but they have to take accountability for not being themselves too. But if you can't be that yourself around people, this is another thing. The antidote is let them go. Let the relationship go. Let the friends go. Let the people go. Let the things go that are not benefiting you, that are causing you poison within yourself, that aren't causing you that peace you have, that joy, that freedom you have just to be you and live freely. If you don't have that peace or that joy, to do that spiritual freedom that we have to basically let your gift shine, you have to let it go. And we talk about moving on and letting go. That's another poison. Sometimes it's regret what you had to let go because it wasn't benefiting you. You wanted to keep that person in your life, but you had to let them go. That's something you had to do to grow. What benefit is it you holding on to something that is tearing you up inside? And a lot of times people are fearful to let things go, like I said, or let even people go. You have to weigh your pros and cons. Now, like we said, they're in their own growth journey. If you're trying to do things, you're coming up with solutions, you're learning, you're actively growing, okay, it can be salvaged. But if you absolutely 100% know it cannot be salvaged, it's taking those steps to let it go. And it's going to be hurtful. It's going to be painful, and you may relapse. I mean, to be honest, you may relapse. I've been through this in the relationships I've been in too. You had to let someone go. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm going to let go. I'm not going to deal with it anymore. But then I do it again. Okay, you didn't learn from the first time you tried to leave. So I mean, it's human nature. You're going to do it sometimes, but you have to cut the cords. If you truly want to see what you're missing, especially if you're not being who you are, if you know you are this lively, fun person, the things that you're doing, you're not doing anymore. If you love dancing, swimming, some of the things you used to do with people, and you find yourself not doing it, you know there's an issue right there. There's something you have to address and account for. Why are you not doing it? And be honest and truthful and transparent, because your reality is disrupted by factual evidence. You're not doing what you used to do that you like to do anymore. There are your facts. There's your reality that you think everything is okay, but when you start, are you doing this? No. Why aren't you doing it? Oh, I'm just not happy. I don't feel like it. Well, why do you not feel like doing it? Ask those hard questions. That's what I was saying. Look in that mirror. What mirror are you being guided by? Yours or society's or other people around you? That mirror is detrimental to your happiness and to your life. And that poison that you're feeding. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, that's good. See, it could be subtle. Cause like she said, I'm be honest. I was like she just said she was in. I was in one where I didn't want to let it go. This stuff can be subtle, but the thing about it is, when I look back on it right now, look about where I'm at and the relationship that I was in, and I look at where I'm at, I see now, cause of who I am and who God has made me be, well, who's allowed me to be. I know the relationship that I let go couldn't thrive right now. I would not be. We probably wouldn't be having this podcast actually, because you don't see it when you in it, and so
and that's the hardest thing. Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. It's so subtle. It's so subtle that you're suddenly disappearing from who you actually are. Your identity as who you are is suddenly disappearing. You don't see it. It ain't aggressive. It ain't just quick. It's subtle. You look up 5 years from now, you looking at yourself like looking in the mirror like, who am I? I literally did that. I didn't know. I said, wow. And KG, he'll tell you. He used to tell me all the time, you lose yourself. He said, you don't even know. He was right. I didn't know what I liked. What I said I liked was what the person liked. Or the person before that liked. What I said I liked to go was what the person before that go.
You become the other person.
I became the people that I was with. It wasn't all of us. It was subtle. It was short. And I had to detox from that and had to really have an emotional detox. I had to really pull back and then find out what it is I like. So we're not telling you something that we have not experienced. The fact that we're so passionate about it is because we have experience. I would never want nobody to experience what I experienced in relationships. And listen, hear me well. Like she said earlier, it wasn't their fault. I allowed that to happen. I chose that. So I'm not blaming the women I was with. I'm saying this is what I did. No, it's not their fault. Like she said, we have to own what happened and our part we played in things that happened to us.
And how we train people, like you're saying, like in those boundaries, like it's things that's coming on subtle. What do we keep allowing to happen? Oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. But later on down the line, it's becoming a big deal because we didn't address it earlier. We didn't set a boundary. It may be cute and happy right now, but actually it's something. If you took the emotions out and the feelings and you just dealt, if you were single by yourself, it doesn't have to be in a relationship, but by yourself, was that something that you would like or allow? If that was your child, would that be something that you want a boundary crossed? That was a loved one. We like to play the big brother, big sister, the mentor. we have to look at it from that perspective too, as our own self. Well, we would want that for them. We have allowed that, and that's a good way that I've learned, that I've grown too, is when it comes to my children, when it comes to people that I mentor. And you spoke also about leadership when I was speaking about being role models. Leadership, you don't have to have a title to be a leader. You don't have to be a manager to be a leader. Your name is your leader. You are a leader in your own gift. You should lead in your gift. So just remember, leadership does not have to have a title for you to be a leader, because you lead in that unique gift that God gave you, which you're passionate about, and which you do so easily, that comes with you, that makes you who you are, that unique you. And when you start, like we said, losing some of those gifts that come naturally, as King was saying, you simulate and you start mimicking someone else. When you're with somebody, you combine as one, but you still are individuals. You still like the own things. You're not always going to like everything the other likes, but you have to remember and still be that division in that aspect of being who you are, but doing things together for that. So that is one thing, is not to forget. And like you said, we do forget sometimes, and that when it comes up, the poison of the conflict, the antidote to me is that the boundaries. How are we treating people? What we like, we don't. But if you don't speak up, the other poison of losing your voice, we don't speak up. You can't blame that other person. They cannot read your mind. They are not mind readers. That's one thing that I noticed in my profession and working with people. We expect people to know what we're thinking. Now, when you're around family can read your mind, quote unquote, because they've been around you all their life. So they know what you're thinking. They know what you're going to do. In some cases, I'll say. So you can expect that part. But when you think you're communicating and saying, I told you this, not in their brain, not in their reality, you did not tell me. They need a different way. So again, as we go into, the antidotes of, letting things go that's not serving you, letting people go that's not serving you, let those go, set those boundaries, those lacking boundaries. If they're lacking, tighten them up. If there's not one, make one. And it's going to take a habit. You can't just say, I don't like the word can't, and this to me is owning up and being accountable with it. You cannot get mad at the sense of saying, if you never speak up about it, someone's not doing it. Well, if you didn't say anything, don't expect any change. If you're not doing any physical things to that, if you're not implementing and you're not staying consistent, don't expect anything to change. You can't do things by yourself. We always need someone else with us to make that and be independent in what you're doing.
Yeah, that's true. See, you really is hitting them in the head today. Okay. All right. Okay.
I mean, I do want people to understand and heal the innermost intricate piece of them. And that's the inner you. It's the shadow work that you really have to do. Those poisons that we carry, don't always know that we're carrying them. And pain, and pain is one that I'll speak to, especially going through the brain surgery, some of the, past traumas I've had. I'm still working on letting it go. It took me, I can truly say I forgave the person who the car accident I was in. I would say at least 95%. I'm not going to say 100 because when something else happens, it goes to that and I get angry. But here's the part I look at, I'm like, why am I angry? I'm only affecting myself. That person's not angry. I'm taking away me being hacked right now. I'm adding to a headache. I'm adding to frustration. Look what I'm doing to myself. And I have to check myself. What are you doing to yourself? Let it go. And it does feel good to let go and release it. But I have to remind myself, when things aren't going how I want them to be, or there's a new pain, or I'm limited on this, what I can and can't do. It's like, no, listen to me. What do you want? I'm letting someone else control. And that's the other thing, and the other poison. And the antidote is, don't let people control you. I can't let someone else make me feel a certain way. I control me being, how long I'm going to be sad, how long I'm going to be happy, how long I'll be frustrated. You do control that. You have to work through it. Now, I'm not saying ignore it. Work through it. Allow yourself, but you still have to work through it to allow it so you can release it. It's that whole process, as we talked about before. That inner work process is never going to stop. That inner work in you growing is never going to stop, because you're going to have a new problem, a new growth, new level. If you're not having these, you're not doing inner work. You're not being accountable. You're not being honest with yourself. You're looking at in a fogged mirror that you just don't even want to deal with. You need to wipe it off and clear it and really be transparent. What's going on? What do you want to get out of your life that is causing you? What do you need to release? And something could be something small as I want to do this again. I want to do that again. Or I want to do more of this. Something you might not have to release. You just have to do more of to actually say, you know what? I was scared to do that first. I'm going to do this some more. So what is bringing that peace and joy into your life and in your house? Your house is disorganized and shambled. Don't expect the world to be outside good because you're coming to disorganization. That's another thing you got to worry about too. You bring the world into your house and your house is not in order where it need to be. That's another poison that we actually allow at times too.
Okay. All right, see, you need to give people time out. You just hit the ball. You just covered to you. I see. That's good. See, that's good. That's really good. The house is not in order. You shambles. That's all good. And if one thing you said, but you rushed past it. If you're not doing work on yourself constantly, you're right. You are walking in the fog because it's gonna
Yeah,
be constant work. It's you got to realize what do you be 30, 40 something, 50 something, 60. You got to realize however many years you are, that's how many years you got to deal with of stuff that you let go on and that you didn't acknowledge. Some people are just not coming to the realization of this journey of okay, I have to
true.
do inner work. So if you come into this journey of at 35, that means you got 35 years of stuff you have to process, and it's going to take time. So we're not saying. So I'm glad she said it because sometimes we think when we say do the inner work, then it's like an ending period. It's really not.
Right.
It's a journey.
It's never
It's not. It's not.
ending.
It's never ending. It's just the thing about it is you just deal with that thing that's pressing. That's just happened to float to the top. Is that you deal with that, and then okay, you wait for the next thing to float to the top, which is gonna come. Trust me. Once you clear out one thing, here's come the next thing, and it kind of go like if you say, okay, I have an anger issue. Okay, you deal with the anger issue. Then you're gonna say, okay, I have an unforgiveness issue. You deal with the unforgiveness. Okay, now I have a self control. It's gonna be something just like that. And as you are growing, you're gonna start seeing the changes. You're gonna start seeing the growth. You're gonna start
Mhm.
seeing. You're gonna start loving yourself more, and you're gonna start putting the boundaries that she is talking about. You're gonna start doing these things because you're working on the inner you. But you have to. We so serious about this poison in you that you're carrying. What poison are you carrying? That we made it personal. What poison are you carrying? Because not everybody carrying the same poison.
True.
Just gonna be honest with you. But what poison are you carrying that is really killing you on the inside silently? And like I said, a lot of people don't understand. Stress is a silent killer, and a lot of people just don't realize they stress. Sometimes you gotta pull out for the burnout. I used to hear that said a lot. Pull out for the burnout. I really understand that now. Pull out, rest. It's okay. Even if you obligate to some stuff, man, listen, it will go on. Let's just keep it real. That stuff will go on. If you was to pass away, you better believe that stuff gonna keep going. So you need
Right.
to take care of yourself and make sure you in a well spotted. Speaking of my mom called me and said, "Hey, you need to go to the gym. You're not. You need your outlet. Go to the gym. You're not. You taking on all this stuff." And I had to listen. My mom know me. Like she was saying, your people close to you gonna know you. They gonna know how you sound if you. Oh, my brother the same way. He hold me accountable too. It's 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 imperative that you have people like that in your life that would tell you the truth no matter how it make you feel. And my mom is one of those that would tell you the truth. She don't care how it make you feel. And then she'll say she love you at the end of it. And so that's just is what it is. I'm glad I got my mom in my life.
But
I
it's
promise
tough
you.
love, and that's when it's
Listen, I'm
genuine
glad.
tough love. It's
Listen,
it's a
listen,
tough
I'm
love
glad.
sometimes.
I
It's
thank
not
God for my
degrading,
mom. Yeah.
demeaning, or abusive. It's a tough love, a
Yeah.
care
Yeah, it is.
for
It's tough.
somebody.
My brother the
But
same way.
it starts that way though. To me, the self love is really one of the best inner work antidotes when it comes to self love. And how we said the process is never ending. The growth is
Yeah.
never ending long as you allow it. But one thing that I would say that is forever is the freedom that you get from releasing
Yes, sir.
and getting that detoxing yourself from all that. That is forever. And you have to
Yes.
learn to do that forever. That is a positive aspect of it, to give yourself, as we said, whose approval are you living for? Those are questions for you. The poison, what poison are you carrying? Whose approval are you living for? Whose mirror are you looking in? Whose do you want to see? Those are questions I propose to you to ask yourself and think about them.
And do you value yourself? Ask yourself that question too. Because if you valued yourself, you would do this work. You would do the inner work. Again, we make this offer to y'all. We gonna make it for the next however many shows we gonna do. We have an assessment that you can find out. It's a cheat sheet to show you who you are. But when we, like I said, all you gotta do is send us your email, and we'll send it to you. But the thing about it is, you have to be in a quiet place when you take these questions. Do these questions, and it's not hard. All you're doing is putting things in order. That's it. And it's, I think it's about, I think they done made it 15 now. But either way, if you just put things in order, you put things in order, and then it'll pull you out, and it's gonna read you. It's gonna read your mail if you sincerely do it the right way. And you have to do it in a quiet place. We want you to know who you are. And this is a great tool to start that journey. It may not tell you all of it, but it's going to start you. And you're going to read it, and you're going to know if it's telling you the truth or not. You are, and we will too, because we're going to follow up with you. If you do it, we'll follow up with you and teach you show you how to read it, and help you understand what you're looking at. But it's imperative that, one, in order to get rid of the poison, we go all the way back. You got to set intentions, and you got to be aware of who you are, of yourself. That's the only way. We really, we stressing this. And like she said, we passionate about you knowing who you are. Because we really get tired of seeing people getting taken advantage of because you don't know who you are. And you accept stuff that you don't need to be accepting because you don't know who you are. And it's okay to stand up for you. I promise you it's okay to stand up for you. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay, like she said, to say no.
Right.
You can say no in so many ways. You ain't got to be harsh with it. You can say, oh,
And you always have to explain. That's the other thing that comes with boundaries. If you just say no is no. You do not always have to give a reason why you're saying no. If you just want to say no, say no. And that comes with a lot of, lack of balance and responsibilities in some things. And the best way to give you an example is if you look at your home. Every home requires a series of chores that aren't always satisfying, but they're necessary to complete. So what are some activities? In the home, you make sure that there's various mechanisms for functionality and maintenance. You got to make sure the utilities are on, the water's working, electricity's working, the home appliances they all should work. But what we also have to do is we have to clean and maintain the physical space in all aspects and parts. But we also have to clean and maintain our psychological home too. Yes. That is very big. So it all has to be in sync and find that where the lack of balance is in your responsibilities and what you should be doing.
Yeah, that is true. I like that. That is great. See, great analogy. Because honestly, we say this a lot.
Right.
This right.
I like how you said that, Lydia. No is a complete sentence. Yes, it is. No.
Until you get this right, everything else will not be right. Because this here is your best asset when you use it right. This here will lead you to a lot of stuff. And the thing about it, like I said, I give you that version for the people that don't rock with God. But me personally, as long as I'm meditating on the word, as long as I'm keeping God in my mind, meditating on the word, I'm good here. I'm at peace here. But the minute I step away and think I can do it on my own, which I've had incidents where I like, oh, I'm good. I don't have to meditate today. I don't have to pray. I go out there and I get beat up. I'm serious, by the word, I get beat up. I react wrong. I say the wrong thing. It's just being honest. We being honest with you. So I have to make sure that I keep the main thing, and that's my meditation. And as Pastor Lady Mel would say, get at his feet. I make sure I do that on a day-to-day basis so that I can be productive. Not only for me, but for whoever I have to lead it that day or anything. And then I got, like I said, my family. I got my wife, my kids. I have to be the best version of me. And the only way I can be the best version of me is I take care of this.
And you believe it. You have to believe and affirm it and know that best version of you. And like we said, that's going to be ongoing. You're going to constantly perfect your version of yourself constantly. And it's not perfect. And I'm just going to say it's grow. You're going to continually grow to another level when you're looking at the growth and moving forward and knowing who you are and accepting those gifts and your purpose. Because we all have been put here for a purpose. You have to use your purpose for that planning and for how it is going to be able to serve others along with yourself genuinely.
Yeah, that's true. So okay, before we go out, I wanna say, listen, we want to say Happy Father's Day. What's up, Shelton?
Yes, we do.
Shelton, what's up? Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Listen, what we're doing, if you're in the DMV area, we're actually having a fish fry at the church. And that's the address 7230 Central Avenue, Capitol Heights, Maryland. So if you know of any fathers, men, any of them, send them to our church, send them to this address 7230 Central Avenue, Capitol Heights, Maryland, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., and they will get a free fish platter. This fish is bomb, too. So, if you, I'm telling you, I'll be there. Trust me, I'm going to be there. So, I'm serious. If you know any males, any fathers in the DMV area, and they just send them 1 to 3. We're gonna be out there at 7230 Central Avenue, Capitol House, Maryland, and that's just our way. We got a full weekend, and we're gonna have a great service as well. But this just our way of saying Happy Father's Day. So, cause like I said, a lot of times, Father's Day is really like the one they like, oh, it's Father's Day. And with Mother's Day, like, woo, it's Mother's Day. And all the hoopla, hoopla. But we want to celebrate the fathers. We want to celebrate
Yes,
the
we
fathers.
do.
We
And
do.
just make sure you tell somebody.
Tell
I mean,
somebody.
one thing too, I
Yes,
say
yes, Lydia. Ladies can pay for a plate. Yes, yes.
one thing I'll say too is when it comes to, you can if you see any male, it doesn't hurt to say, even though they may or may not be a true biological father, they may be acting as a father to someone else, still wish them a happy Father's Day.
Correct.
If not, being their father, before them. So I think that's something to do good too, especially with the weekend coming.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Mom. My mom says great teaching, guys. Thank you. It
Thank
means a
you.
lot. Yeah, I am a mama's boy. I don't care what nobody say. Yes, I am. My mom watched the whole show live. This is her first time doing that too. So yeah, I'm glad she watched the show. But please, please, please remember what we saying. We are here until God say otherwise, and that's
Correct.
just being honest with you. I can give you a day because God can say, okay, y'all stop. New season, you skipped us. I'm just saying, I'm being honest with you. But we're going to be here till God say otherwise, and we take this very serious, and we don't take your time for granted. And so we thank you that you do take time out to watch our show. We
Yes.
thank you that
Thank you
you
for each
do
and every one of
share
you.
it. We thank you that you do subscribe. We thank you that you do all those things. We do not take that for granted. We understand that what we say, we held accountable for what we say. We understand we held accountable by God. We take that so serious. You want believe it or not, we take it so serious. So thank you all. And any like we said, please reach out. We have a believe it or not, and I think you gonna see it more. And I can't tell y'all this because I ain't told my business partner yet. So, but yeah, we feel to shift a lot of things, and because of God is opening doors for us, we're about to grow in our business, and we about to grow in our account. Because I'm a psychologist now, so we've definitely about to grow, and so it is what it is. We ready to grow now, and so we want to thank you all that are here from the beginning before we shifted over to growing. And I tell you this, and I believe this with all my whole heart. Unless God say stop, we will constantly be consistent, showing up every Wednesday at 12. Whether it be a replay or live, you're going to see a
Well,
consistency.
when it's not pretty. So
Or when it's not pretty, we start off and, I ain't got my light and I had to go run and get my light. And
technical
then,
difficulties.
yeah. So,
But it's all fun though. We do that for the
yeah,
love and
show
serving of
cut off,
others.
and then we had to reboot it, and then we had to start all over. We gonna be here. Cause we really have a passion for people's growth and for them knowing who they are. Our slogan is this: we empower women, educate men. That's what God gave us, and that's what we run with. That's how we do it. So I always think we should show always appreciation to people, no matter
Hmm.
what, how small, how big it get, because you didn't have to be here, you didn't have to
Right.
watch, and you could have been doing something else. So we don't take that for granted. We really don't. We appreciate it. We appreciate the support. What is 6, 5, 25, 35? We don't care. If it was one, we still would go the
Right.
same way. But like we go for 50 or 100. So that's who we are. And we just want to thank you. And we do pray God's blessing over you. For real.
Yes, we
We
do.
want your house to be blessed. We want you to prosper in everything that you put your hands to do. We want your family to be healed and made whole. We do. That is our desire for you. Because ultimately, we only do this so that God can get the glory out of our lives and this show. So, with that said, I know I'm letting
Our
you
hearts
close.
and minds.
Well, I guess he said all hearts and minds are satisfied. The benediction. Let's go to the Father. Father, I thank you right now for every single person that watched this podcast tonight. Father, I pray Psalms 91 over their life. I pray that no evil shall befall them. No plague shall come to their dwelling, that 1,000 may fall at their side, 10,000 at their right, but only with their eyes would they witness destruction. I thank you for the angels encamped around about them. And I thank you most importantly that they abide under the shadow of your wing. Father, I thank you that no weapon formed against them will prosper. Every tongue that rises up against them shall fail. And Father, I plead the blood of Jesus over them right now. And Father, we thank you for this time that you have set aside for us to empower the people and to educate the people, Father, and that they will be even better after hearing this podcast, and that their life will be in a true trajectory of their authentic self. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.